Good morning and good evening, everyone. My name is Naveen KS. We are kicking off the Leaders and Coaches Asia's main conference by a panel discussion. And the topic for the panel discussion today is the Coaching Culture 2.0. Let me introduce my panel here. I'm sorry, I have only one screen today, so I need to do a flip-flops here. So the first panelist I would like to introduce is Tina Siosa. She's a leadership coach and human capital consultant. And she's the vice president for ICF Philippines chapter, board of trustee for ECPay. And she's one of the top 24 motivational content creators in Philippines. In the past, she was a former director for partnership ICFP. That's the International Coaching Federation and Philippines again. Former project director for ICF Foundation US and former vice president for Global Telecom as a business HR. Tina is a practicing human capital consultant focusing on leadership, coaching, and successor development, organizational development, and organizational health management towards culture change and transformation of business and people. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you.
Yeah. The second speaker I would like to introduce is On. On is a general manager of HR for Sunway Malls. She's an accomplished HR strategist with 2 decades of experience spanning multinational corporations and leading Malaysian conglomerates. She currently serves as general manager, head of HR at Sunway Malls, where she drives cultural transformation, strategic workforce planning, leadership development across 8 malls nationwide. She is renowned for her role in large-scale organizational restructuring and digital HR transformation. On also led regional talent and integration efforts across Asia Pacific in oil and gas sector. She is a certified professional in behavior profiling and a strong advocate of coaching culture, employee wellness, and inclusive leadership. The third panelist I would like to welcome today is Robert Garcia. He is a vice president for ICF Coaching in Organizations. Robert is responsible for leading the operations that enable global organizations to build coaching capabilities and develop a strong coaching culture. A pivotal leader in coaching culture development, Robert is renowned for his strategic approach to expanding organizational culture capabilities and coaching capabilities. His global expertise is reflected in strong partnership across 50 plus countries. An executive coach by profession, a seasoned professor, and a keynote speaker, Robert's sessions are a confluence of insight and inspiration. In the past, he has held senior level positions at Randstad, Shrum, Baptist Health, Florida International University, ADP, and United Healthcare, one of them actually. Welcome to all 3 of our panelists.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen. Maybe I also take the opportunity to introduce Naveen to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, Naveen?
Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Naveen basically he is the author, a co-founder of Leaders and Coaches of Asia, co-founder of Agile People Ops as well. So as the co-founder of Agile People Ops, Naveen played a key role in developing the Agile People Ops framework, which is a pioneering methodology integrating business agility with progressive people operations practice. His work empowers organizations to align people, culture, and strategy for sustained growth and enterprise agility. Naveen is also a global executive coach, organization transformation consultant, and thought leader in organizational effectiveness, with over 2 decades of experience guiding Fortune 50 companies senior executive and global teams through complex change and leadership transformations. As an ICF professional certified coach for the last 8 years and certified coaching supervisor since 2019, Naveen partners with executive and organizations worldwide to elevate leadership capability, navigate complex business transformations, and build high-performing global teams. His clients' engagements span across the United States, Canada, India, and other Asia's countries. So he has been organizing global HR virtual conference called People Ops Pulse for the past 3 years, and also on advisory board for the Future of Workplace Research, which publishes every year. He's also working with the world's second largest retirement solutions company as consultant for business agility and leadership coaching.
Thank you.
That's Naveen.
Thank you, Hans, for introducing me. Thank you so much. And good to see everyone here. Our panel focused on the coaching culture 2.0. And I'm inviting my panelist with my first question here. What does coaching culture looks like in your respective country? Maybe I invite one by one. Please state your name and the country you are calling in from, and then probably share your insights on this question. Tina, you want to go first?
Yeah. You want me to go first? Yeah, maybe I can go first. This is Tina Shawson. I'm from the Philippines. And thank you for having me this evening in my country, in Asia. You were asking what does coaching culture look like in our country, the Philippines. So I can tell you that in summary, it looks like a portion of it is foundational, meaning it's about the individual, it's about leadership training, and still creating awareness for the Filipinos to understand the real value of coaching. But some of the most of the progressive organizations, and there's a lot of organizations here in the Philippines now, it's more systemic integration. It's coaching culture is now getting into influencing their ecosystem, including incorporation of AI and perhaps wellness as its focus. So that's how I can briefly share that with you. Naveen.
Thank you so much, Tina. On, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I can share a little bit. So just to clarify, I'm not a coach, maybe yet, but I work with coaches to implement coaching in organizations, previous organizations, and my current organizations. So I'll bring some perspective from the organization's implementations. And I'm from Malaysia, and coaching in Malaysia basically is it's not new, but yet we are still seeing quite a low adoptions rate. But the good news is they are progressively being adopted by many large Malaysian organizations that have footprint internationally. So these organizations that you might heard before, such as Maybank, Petronas, as well as Sunway, and adopting coaching. Mainly organization adopt coaching as part of development tools on growing the people. And a reflections into Malaysians' culture. So culturally, Malaysians are very high power distance society. And what that means? That basically means that leaders in organizations are used to give instructions, and people are used to follow instructions. Leaders tell you A, you don't do B. This is a very high power distance society. And when coaching is introduced into organizations, we see that, uncomfortable, that kind of shock, because leaders are not used to ask questions. employees are not used to being asked, what do you think? And some of them were very panicked. I mean, is my boss testing me or something like that? So it's very unfamiliar. So, I mean, reflect back the journey. Sunway, basically, we introduced coaching culture in 2020, and we have seen that challenge too. So we build that culture, we walk that journey, but once people get used to it, you will see that the shift is amazing. So so it helped to build trust. It makes leader more approachable, and it give people more confidence. To have leaders and employee conversations happening. So this is largely about the coaching culture in Malaysia.
That's interesting, Evan. Thank you for sharing your insights there. Robert, I would like to invite you now to share your wisdom because you're representing ICF coaching in organizations.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you this morning, this evening. And really, coaching culture is what we do every day at the International Coaching Federation. I think I'm in the U.S. I live and work in the U.S., but I travel extensively throughout the world, as you may have seen if you follow me on LinkedIn. But and I have the great opportunity to interact with organizations throughout the world. In the U.S., as you may know, coaching is well established and really is evolving quickly. Large organizations, especially, are using coaching as a competitive advantage. I think it's part of their leadership development strategy. It engages employees. There's a lot of research from ICF and throughout academia that talks about the benefits or the impact of establishing a coaching culture, and we're excited to see that. Typically, it starts in organizations with the senior leadership team. So the C-suite gets an executive coach, but quickly evolves into when senior executives experience coaching and recognize the tremendous value, the tremendous impact that it has. It evolves quickly in, I want this for everyone within the organization. And then we talk about scalability. We talked, some of the panelists mentioned AI coaching, AI-enabled coaching. We're seeing that being explored more fully, and we're excited about that. We know that it's not for everyone, but it really is a part of getting coaching, because we talk a lot about coaching being available to everyone in the organization, not just the leadership team. And this is a great way. It may not be, AI-enabled coaching is yet not transformational, as we know human coaching is and can be. But certainly it's for first level, for transactional type situations. You can experience coaching, and it leads to more opportunities. The other thing we see is that organizations are building internal coaching capabilities. So providing individuals opportunities to get professionally trained in coaching and provide coaching throughout the organization. Another exciting initiative is leaders using coaching skills. So not necessarily being coaches to their direct reports, but using coaching skills as an approach to become a better leader. As we heard Owen talk about almost the command and control approach, really being using this coach approach to ask better questions, gain trust in their employees, and hearing them out, being more innovative. So we know when there's a coaching culture, organizations are more profitable, more productive, and the impact is greater. So we're really excited about what coaching can do.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Yeah, so you're absolutely right about the AI and using coaching skills by leader. I'm in a different unique situation. I am based out of here in Hartford, Connecticut in US. I do a lot of coaching programs, leadership coaching into organizations here in US, but at the same time, I have exposure of working with leaders in Asia. So I'll bring a little bit of a different this thing as compared to Tina, Robert, and Ern here. So in India, coaching is steadily transitioning actually. It was perceived to be a luxury, especially the C-suite used to have a lot of exposure to the coaching because it's a strategic enabler at the leadership level. But now it is changing. And India, like from a hierarchical power distance point of view, it's a hierarchical structure. It has a direct leadership style at the workplace as compared to US. It's a different. It's more of collaborative and open. But today's India's organizations, especially the multinationals in IT, BSF, and the startups which has funding from Silicon Valley of US, are increasingly recognizing coaching as a business critical intervention for leadership pipeline development, for succession planning, and cultural transformation. That's very key. As compared
Yeah.
to US, right, which is like especially the North American region, Western markets are often adopted coaching very systematically. It went from top down much early as compared to Indian subcontinent and organizations which are now actually taking the same path as US, where they are trying to bring the coaching and embedding into the middle management and increase the collaboration between the cross-functional teams. That's the shift we are seeing in India right now, basically. And the
Mm.
coaching culture is a bit unique also in India because it's a fusion of relationship-based influence. That's how the US work culture, Indians work culture are as compared to US. So it's similar to like Japan or Middle East, but with the growing appetite, especially for performance-based agility and personal growth, organizations are adopting more and more coaching basically. Um,
Mm.
it's still a sensitive strategy because it's not fully evolved as US. Because in India, people still respect authority and promotes autonomy. So that's where the coaching seeps in a bit, especially in a situation where there is a reflective dialogue. There is a still challenge of dealing some traditional mindsets because there is a one piece where there are MNCs and there's a work culture a bit different, and there is a traditional Indian businesses
Mm.
who don't have exposure to the multinationals or the countries outside of India. So there is a bit of traditional mindsets there.
Mm.
But the workplace is still hierarchical. It doesn't matter where it is, because people still visualize or view coaching as fixing something, as compared to as an effective tool for the growth. It's changing. It's slowly changing, but still there is a good market over there.
But uh, Naveen, what I noticed just and Robert and Ern can correct me here. What I noticed is regardless of territory or country, there are four important components that allows the coaching to really foster in a coaching culture to foster in an organization. Primary of which is the leadership commitment. No, it's kind of difficult if we don't have that. Second of which is the employee empowerment. We really take the risk, organizations really take the risk in developing people and trusting them, taking the risk of trusting the employees. The last two I saw needed not only by leaders and employees, are authentic communication and dynamic feedback. Those four things that I've seen in multinational organizations, small and medium enterprises in the Philippines, regardless of their size and industry, allowed coaching culture to foster. That's my observation.
Yeah, I really agree. I think that there's a huge shift in going from remedial type coaching,
Mm.
especially in the US and other countries, the
Mm.
UK. early adopters of coaching. I think you've seen a shift where, and especially in multinational organizations where there's influence from different countries, where senior leaders are looking at the impact of coaching and using it for high potentials, identifying high potentials. These individuals are getting coaches, and we're moving beyond this, and really focusing on talent development, and coaching being a great approach to that. And that's exciting to see. Certainly, there are organizations, smaller organizations in some parts of the world that are looking at coaching as well, bringing this on to help individuals move along. But I think that for the most part, coaching is seen as a benefit. And in fact, we've done some studies where younger generations that are coming into the workforce are negotiating not only salary and flexibility at work, which everybody is negotiating, but also when will I get a coach? How can I get access to coaching, which we are very excited about because they recognize that we can't do this alone, especially in this world where there's so many changes, where technology is affecting everything we do. We need to help. We need some help in getting to the next level, progressing through our career, and a coach is the perfect partner to do that with.
I would like to, I couldn't agree more with what you have said, Robert. I've just seen a report just fresh from the oven yesterday about these generations of Generation Z. Generation Z, I'm not too sure at how many in this panel attendees are Generation Z. They are basically young, dynamic, and they just entered the workforce. And one thing that demand from the employers, and we have seen this, I think, is cross boundaries, is the demand of having frequent feedback. They don't use the word coaching, maybe as part of this word. They want feedback to be given to them in a genuine manners to help them to grow in their career. And I still remember I have a conversations with one of the young employees, and it was last year. And I asked him, what will help you to stay in these organizations? And this employee just, 24, 25 years old, told me this, talk to me more. Then I asked him, oh, wow. So how frequent should I talk to you? Is once a month enough? So once a month is my generations. And he said, no, I want conversations to be done once a week. I was like, if every employer spend once a week and basically you think that basically is a reflection of shifting leadership priority to focusing from focusing of task executional to focus on from people. So this is a genuine personal experience sharing from my side.
Yeah, I think it's the social media effect, right?
Exactly.
You post something on social media and you get immediate feedback. And
Yes.
this generation is used to that. And if you don't get feedback, how many likes do you get? And at work, you do a project and you want immediate feedback. So we're good as leaders. I think as in older generations like me, we have to shift in how we communicate with these younger generations.
And not only as leadership development advantage. We talk about a lot about leadership advantage, but I've also started to see a shift in terms of how employee having courage to engage conversations about their well-being and wellness.
Yeah.
They have the courage to talk to you about this, whereby these are the things are taboo, especially in Asia, Malaysia, where if I tell you my challenges about, I have a mental health issue, means you think that I'm, I can't think straight, I'm crazy or whatsoever. That was previous.
Yeah.
But currently we see people coming to talk about, they need your support so that they can, they can be better in terms of the mental health, and that have an impact in the work itself, in the workplace.
Yeah. So I was talking to one leader actually. It was very interesting that what he was mentioning to me. First of all, yes, the Gen Z um, are looking for constant feedback. So he has incorporated something called as a feedback loop, which he does in a bi-weekly way, basically. And I'm also working with one client here who wants their traditional IT development team to change to become more of like a product organization. So I created a small program called as product centric engineering culture. And when I'm working with the leaders, they say like, hey, Gen Z, I'm feeling a lot of trouble in interacting. That's when in this session, one leader said, you know why? What would be that? Because they are receiving constantly the information. They want to separate the noise from the pattern. And for that reason, they need a support. And that support comes only in the form of conversation. And you're available there to have that conversation. And when you remove that noise from the pattern and they look at the right data, then they are able to make real progress in whatever they are doing, basically. That's why you require constant conversation, frequent feedback meetings with them, provide them frequent feedbacks. I know when I was working as at the middle management level a decade ago, my feedback or check-ins were only once in a 2 quarters. But this generation is quite different. And I'm surprised, like, what would happen once Gen Alpha comes in,
Yeah.
right? We're just waiting for Gen Alpha.
10 years from now.
Right. Yeah. So
But
on that point, I will shift,
yeah, go ahead.
right?
Go
How
ahead,
do
go ahead.
I will shift to ask a next question. Like, how do you create a psychological safety or a safe space in organization for these conversation as well as for coaching?
Mm.
Who wants to
You
go
want me to
first?
start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So psychological safety in the Philippines, in the context now, Philippine context, there are Filipino nuances. And I don't know if this is just unique for Filipinos or this is also present in other Asian countries now. We call it hiya or shame. Filipinos doesn't want to be embarrassed. No, and thus making mistakes, being criticized in public, standing out. It may lead to if they get embarrassed, it may lead to reluctance to speak or ask for clarification or even admit errors. So that particular thing that would allow Filipinos to be in this situation means it's not psychologically safe for Filipinos. A paternalistic style, and I think I heard this from Ern earlier, wherein there is really power distance. That's how organization is in the country, and they're very cautious with providing their own opinion, even in asking questions out of respect for their leaders, no? So we call it paternalistic style. And the last that I wanted to share in terms of nuances in Filipino organization is the pakikisama or harmony. We love smooth interpersonal relationship. We don't want to disrupt that. We don't want to disrupt the dynamics, no? And trigger conflicts in the organization. Now I'm saying that because it does not necessarily it is correct. What I'm saying is such nuances, uh, leaders in the country will have to be mindful of it so that they can influence and create the space for this psychological safety to happen. That's my initial thoughts, Naveen. I'd like to hear from the rest of the panelists.
Yeah, thank you, Stina. That's quite powerful. Robert, do you want to go next, if you don't mind, this time?
Certainly. I think psychological safety obviously is a cornerstone of coaching. You need to create an environment of trust, confidentiality, and we need to encourage organizations to create this safe space. I think when we have professionally trained coaches, we abide by these ethical standards, and ICF is a huge proponent of the code of ethics that really creates this environment. But obviously, as Tina says, we have these cultures that are very strong and don't feel comfortable. So as coaches, I think we need to really exercise that muscle. To make sure that people feel comfortable and open and are able to be honest with respect and keeping the dignity. And I've done a lot of work in different countries and in Asia. It's difficult sometimes for people to talk out when you are facilitating a session. Sometimes it's hard to ask questions and people to contribute because and sometimes you have to go in groups so that they feel a little more comfortable. So as a coach, you need to look for different types of approaches. We're also doing a lot of work, and Ern mentioned, around mental well-being. Whereas when I started in my coaching career close to 20 years ago, it was more executive coaching, business coaching. We didn't talk about the person. We talked about the business and what you needed to do to be successful in the business. We typically would start with a 360, focus on gaps, and develop action plans. I've seen a tremendous shift, and certainly ICF is a huge proponent in really coaching the entire person, bringing your whole self to the coaching setting so that we can explore and talk freely and comfortably about everything that's going on in your world. Because ultimately, what's happening in your personal life will affect your professional life and vice versa.
Yeah.
And we as coaches need to create that environment and make sure people don't leave anything out, and we're able to talk freely and work through together on some of these issues.
So more of you're saying like the employees or the team members in organizations are bringing whole self,
Yes,
including the personal and the professional, both of
absolutely,
the things. Yeah.
absolutely.
Holistic.
Yeah.
A holistic approach,
A
absolutely.
holistic approach. Yeah. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Do you want to bring your perspective from Malaysian?
Yeah, probably I'll just add in a little bit. So, I couldn't agree more. I think psychological safety is the foundations of creating the impact in coaching. I'm not too sure you have been in a workshop or conference where you ask everyone, do you have any questions? And you will just see the eyes going around and no one will voice up. But if you put up a Slido, said, okay, you can send a QR code and put up your questions. And then you will see an overwhelm of questions, ideas all coming in. Why? Because that is anonymous. They feel that it is safe for them to comment, for them to give feedback, and yeah, to offer their thoughts. And that is psychological safety for the people. We had an issue as well. When as organizations, we launched house survey, employee survey, and one of the key questions we benchmark with internationally is whether our people feel safe enough to speak up. And often these are the rating that we see that we still have a lot of things to work on. And when we introduce coaching, we tell the people that we know you have an ideas, you know you want to bring up your issues. Now, if you're not comfortable to speak in a platform like town hall, meetings, let's have a one-on-one conversations. And that one-on-one conversations actually have encouraged a lot of people to offer new ideas and speak up issues early in the work before it snowballs to something big. We have seen that.
Yeah.
And I think these are the real benefits to organizations where we have genuinely applied coaching, and when we know that psychological safety is like cornerstone of it, or the foundation of it.
Agreed.
So thanks for sharing that. I almost like laughed here when you told me about the workshop thing. As I mentioned, I see the US part of it. Whenever there is a workshop and you open up the forum to ask the question, it's more of like a dialogue. Like people will raise hands, people will share the insights of what they learned. Sometimes they even challenge. But there is a shift when you see the Indian, right? Because from an Indian workplace point of view, it's still from a culturally, it's very hierarchical. It's deeply ingrained that employees often hesitate to speak up or challenge the status quo, whether it's in the workshop publicly attending or within the organizations when they are in a meeting, basically. So, so in India, basically for Indian workplaces, especially, if you want to try to create a psychological safety, I believe it requires intentional leadership change in behaviors, because they need to role model the vulnerability by asking, hey, give me feedback, or I acknowledge I did something wrong here. Uh, what do you guys feel? Bring your thoughts, right? Those kind of descending views, if you invite, then there will be a shift. But I don't see that yet in Indian workplace as compared to the US where I work here, actually. So, as you all mentioned, it's very important from a coaching point of view. Psychological safety is very key. It's kind of a foundational, right? When there is a safe platform to bring in your holistic, then the shift happens, the magic happens. From a coaching point of view, actually, to advocate that kind of openness, you need to build some kind of again, going back to what I was saying, a structured openness, a reflection time to review, the mistakes within the team, with whatever's happening in the economy or within the organization, and embodying that the leaders through an open-ended inquiry in a performance conversations also. And the important thing is that leaders needs to, especially in the Asian and Indian workplace point of view, leaders needs to listen beyond the answers. Even if they open it up, they need to go beyond the answers, because they are not only, someone is not only answering, they are bringing different emotions there, basically. And for that emotions to come out, you need a safe space, because the confidentiality is respected only when you create a safe space. And the coaching magic happens when there is a safe space, right? So leaders needs to get trained as a coaches, not only just manage. I know the size of organizations and the teams are much bigger and larger in the Asia as compared to US, but the shift will not happen if you just keep managing. And the one other caution I do tell my leaders, especially when I coach from India, is don't just learn the models or import the Western models, because what you bring, the model which works very well in US culturally is very different in India. So you cannot just import that, basically. You got to create and cultivate a safe dialogue space, which is rooted in empathy, respect, and consistent presence, basically. That's different because it's already granted here in US. But in India, it's quite different.
Right.
Do we have any questions, Hemani, Sunanda, which we should be answering here before I get on to the next one to talk about the barriers in coaching?
We have a question, Q&A box. Would you like me to read it out here?
Yeah, just maybe read out a couple of, because I definitely want the audience questions to be answered by our expert panel here.
I think it's on the line that you were saying right now. So it is from Rajneesh, and he says that, do you notice any difference in how coaching is received by clients in the West versus the East? So it's online with what the discussion was right now.
Okay. Robert, do you want to answer?
Yes. I think there is a difference, and I guess it's because a coaching approach started here in this part of the world, North America, Europe, and it's culturally, I think, individualism versus collectivism, I think, has a lot to do with it. Individuals feel a little more comfortable in sharing their perspective, being extroverted and open, and they're much more receptive to coaching, frequently challenging in the workplace some issues as part of a discussion, not being as hierarchical. Certainly is you're more receptive and open to a coach approach. This coaching mindset where leaders are challenging you to explore and innovate is much more common here in the Western world than in the East. But it's shifting because I think that we're positively influencing through multinational organizations, especially. We're seeing how it's slowly integrating, and organizations are finding individuals becoming much more comfortable in exploring possibilities and being more innovative by sharing your expertise, and as Ern said, using a different approach. If it's not in a public setting, finding another way. Silo, perfect example of you want to hear from individuals, and how can we do that? Certainly, we're seeing that in one-on-one coaching, where people are feeling much more comfortable because it's a private setting. But we're also seeing it in group coaching and team coaching, where people are feeling much more comfortable, regardless of where you are in the world. I think we're seeing more and more of that, people, and I think it has a lot to do with generations, the new generations, because of their exposure to different cultures, are feeling much more receptive to engaging, and letting their perspectives be heard.
I can also answer Himani a little bit on that. So when I see in US, right, there's a different altogether from a coaching point of view, because the coaching is not viewed as extra, right? It's kind of used as an effective tool. But in Indian workplaces, it's mostly due to traditional mindset and the hierarchical structure. The coaching is viewed as kind of a fixing something, as if like a employee or a leader is broken. But in US, the West, they use coaching more of like a performance check-in, team reviews, career conversations. It's kind of a routine for the leaders to embed coaching into their day-to-day leadership style, but as compared to India. So there is a differences there. And as I mentioned in the beginning, West is, and Robert also was mentioning, right? The US is more mature market when it's come to coaching. India is just evolving right now, especially mostly on the MNCs. Multinationals are adopting coaching as compared to Indian traditional business. There's definitely a difference there, Mani.
Thank you for that. There's another question. Would you like to answer it now or later?
Yeah, maybe we will go on to the next one important barriers of coaching, and then probably we'll take more questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to invite on you first this time and ask you, what are the barriers you see in building a coaching culture, and how did you overcome?
Now, when we just introduced coaching in Malaysia, it is like you are telling the leaders to ask questions. So, and this is one of the biggest barriers, which is the mindset of the leaders. Leaders will say that asking questions will make me look, not that great. And, it's to them it's a sign of weakness. So they are giving up authority. They need to put themselves same level as the people and start to strike a conversations. And there are also some barriers, like I think Robert pointed out, it started with small group of people. There are people that have experienced coaching will see that again, this is for a senior executive and also for a certain group of people. And to them, it become an exclusive kind of experience. And this is not what we want, because we want to build a cultural practice in the organizations. So if we just have coaching for a small group of people, it doesn't allow that scalability. So so these basically are the two barriers that I've seen in when we start that in the organizations. So it takes a lot of effort and intentions to walk that journey and overcome that. So first of all, we present coaching is not a soft approach, but it is a modern way to lead, a smarter way to lead. You need to make leader looks better. If they adopt coaching, it will help them to look better. And it basically builds on thinking capability and foster trust between them and the people. And it's important for a growing organizations to navigate complexity and change. So, and we also start with the leader to role model the entire coaching process. We have our senior, first of all, being coached by executive coach, like three of you over here. We have been coached by coaches. Next, we make our senior leaders as a coach. So they themselves practice coaching, and people will see that now they have endorsed it, and it gives the permissions for the people to follow, because in this part of the world, a lot of the people want to see whether the leaders walk the talk. And so this is the 5th years we are in this journey. We started with leaders, and then we started to scale it, and we start to build our internal capabilities. We have trained people to be coach, managers to be coach, and that no longer seen as a program. It is not a program in Sunway Malls. It has become a regular check-in, even for our performance conversations. I have meetings, we talk about non-performer. Previously, when we talk about non-performers, they will ask HR what you would do. And today it is no longer that. Naturally, there will be other leaders that raise up their hand to say that, let me coach or let me mentor this person to see if I could help them to have some awareness and help them to raise their performance bar. So when a non-performance issue being bring out and you have leaders that raise their hand, basically you will see that the culture start to set in these organizations. Now, having to say that these efforts have to be continued, because once if you discontinue and you didn't walk the talk, the entire chain that we are building, will start to crack. So it still take a lot of effort, driven from HR, from the leaders, to co-build this culture that we intend to last in the organizations.
Thank you so much, Tina. Do you want to go next to share?
Yeah. Barriers to building a coaching culture. I can think of three, Naveen and team. No, the first one I think, and this is coming from my corporate experience in the number one telecom organization in the Philippines. No, it's the readiness for feedback. More specifically, 360 degrees feedback. If the key leaders, and because I started with the top management, if the key leaders does not have that readiness for feedback, regardless if that is easy feedback or fast feedback or the 360, then it would be a barrier. The second that I have that I think could be a barrier is if we take coaching as a standalone intervention. This is based on my client experience, which is the biggest conglomerate in the Philippines. When they took coaching as a standalone, it did not fly. But when they took a holistic view of coaching, so much so that it got embedded in their leadership, executive leadership development, together with linking it with their high potentials and succession development, and eventually this people seeing this, seeing their colleagues flying out of this holistic intervention, then coaching became an aspirational for the rest of the talents inside. Maybe the third that I think could be a barrier is if coaching is not approached from an ecosystem standpoint. And this also comes from another client, a top university in the Philippines, wherein they try to influence their professors and faculty as the main target of coaching. But what happened then was the admin side of that university and the students themselves also needed to. So it's an ecosystem approach that allowed them to really push for coaching in that particular. So those are the three things that I was, based on experience, I'm thinking that barriers to building a coaching culture.
Thank you, Tina, for sharing from a Philippines point of view. Robert, I would like to invite you to share what barriers you see.
Yeah, and to contribute to that, and I agree with everything that Ern and Tina have said. And in addition, I would add buy-in, leadership buy-in. Individuals at the C-suite understanding the impact that coaching has and believing that a coaching approach and a coaching culture is necessary for the organization to grow, be more productive, and more profitable. Also, the lack of funding we see as a huge barrier, where, as we talked earlier, the senior leadership team gets coaching, but it doesn't go beyond kind of maybe directors and above get coaching, but coaching available to everyone. I think we talked about how realistic that would be, how scalable, the scalability of coaching throughout the organization, I think the awareness, the how individuals are receptive to it, to this coaching approach is also a barrier, and really making sure that we have measurable impact or results, and sharing those results with throughout the organization, so that we all know the perception of coaching is a very positive, forward-thinking approach. to business. And the other huge barrier that I see is time, or lack of time.
Sure.
Individuals don't think that they have time for coaching, but in essence, it's an investment in the future. But obviously, you have to invest that time to make the most out of it.
Thank you, Robert. When you say like that investment, a time investment, right? Suddenly my mind basically, oh, I was seeing that. But I'm not going to speak about my US experience. I'm going to, in the interest of our time, I'm going to bring two barriers. Most of you all bought everything. I would, from an Indian workplace point of view, I would first chase fixing the perception, because the coaching is still seen as like a, for struggling employees or a senior leaders, as a performance fix. I would say like fix the perception and make it as a performance accelerator to change that perception.
Yeah.
And Robert, you beautifully told about the C-suite buying, the leadership buying, right? In India, the most of the coaching programs are stemming out of the HR function.
Right.
So there is one barrier when there is a leadership buying. So how do you integrate in your current HR programs the benefits of coaching, which change the perception of leaders also, basically? Like, for example, use data to demonstrate the benefits of a coaching and ROI. Like, link your impact of coaching to the retention. Specific department maybe losing a lot of people, right? And there is attrition. So you bring the coaching program and you see the leaders are using it a lot, and so the HRs can link it to retention. They did the attrition.
Right.
You have employee engagement programs. Again, show the coaching data to get a leadership by saying that, hey, how high the engagement scores has gone up in this specific department where you introduced, right? And then there could be a lot of innovative metrics. We are also seeing the mood indicators. We are also seeing, especially in the US, how many questions you are receiving when you organize town halls, So maybe use that also kind of one of the existing systems, basically, to not only get the leadership buy-in from start small with one department, but across the organization, how you can do that. The third barrier I see is the cultural resistance. I think the leaders need to model that behavior. They need to use the coaching, day-to-day life, so that they don't miss the coaching opportunities when they are talking to some employees. The culture barrier is still there, but the leaders can practice that, basically. Small day-to-day micro moments of coaching, they can use it, and then they can model behavior. But thank you. I think we are just around the time. And I personally learned a lot of stuff by hearing all your wisdoms. Thank you so much, Tina and Robert, for sharing your wisdom, as well as coming to our Leaders and Coaches conference today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and
Nice.
thank you for the invitation. Really enjoyed the
Thank
conversation.
Same
Thank you
here.
for having us.
Learn a lot from each of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for
Thank
putting this
you.
on and for your commitment to coaching.
Thank you, Robert. It means a lot coming from your mouth, especially you're using ICF coaching in organizations. And thank you for bringing some nice practical examples. I was able to really resonate quickly. Thank you, Tina, for sharing your wisdom to bring your dual role of HR and the coaching from Philippines point of view. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Hemani, I'm really sorry we took a minute more, but I'm just handing over to you now. Thank you.
That's all right. For the benefit of wonderful discussion, we give that minute. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. It was a wonderful discussion.
Thank you.